All right, everybody, welcome to Fantasy Football Live with the Fantasy Sports Boss. It's Thursday night, Jaguars and Jets. Can't wait to see this game in the pouring rain, and it is certainly going to be pouring rain tonight. Lots of rain, lots of wind. A very, very dicey game in terms of fantasy football. If you trust Trevor Lawrence, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Garrett Wilson, that's the ultimate question tonight when it comes to this game. But you talk about some rough weather. There's a ton of rough weather from the Great Lakes all the way to the East Coast. Anybody who has to travel either tonight or tomorrow, it's going to be real rough sledding. So, just make sure if you are traveling, be careful out there, take it easy, and just give yourself plenty of time to get to your destination. That's how rough it's going to be. All right, again, hit the subscribe, hit the notification button. Going to go through all of the injuries, the injury report. So, obviously, things have been pushed forward by a day, given that the majority of the schedule this week is going to be played on Christmas Eve. Mostly sometimes having games on a holiday, Thanksgiving is the exception, but having football on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day can get a little dicey sometimes. But certainly on Christmas Eve as well, if you're of a certain descent, if you're an Italian descent, especially with the big meals that you have on Christmas Eve and all that other stuff. But at least on the Christmas Day games, some of these games are pretty rough that I don't think you really even need to watch them. So, but again, starting tonight, this is going to be a good game. I think it's going to be low scoring. The Jets season is on the line. Zach Wilson has another precious opportunity to show whether or not he can be the future as the number 2 overall pick of this organization. Whether he could be the guy going forward. Now, I've been on record many times saying that he's absolute garbage. I stand by that. I think Zach Wilson is just a horrible quarterback. One of the worst quarterback prospects that went that high in the draft. Probably the worst since Ryan Leaf. And I don't say that lightly given how bad the whole Ryan Leaf situation was, but that's how bad I feel Zach Wilson is. But and especially tonight in the rain, it's going to be pretty ugly. Now, as far as the schedule here for myself, tomorrow there will be a stream. There will be a Football Friday stream. Obviously nothing on Christmas Eve, nothing on Christmas Day. And then, get into it. I'll get right back into it next week for the Fantasy Football Championship. So I know for myself, I have one team left. One of my teams got bounced last week. I got one team left. So looking forward to seeing what transpires there. All right. Already a couple of questions popping up. Chris McGrail, what's up, boss? I think Donovan Knight, worth starting tonight. No, I wouldn't start Donovan Knight. He's banged up. There's the footing is not going to be good. Fumbling could be an issue for anybody who touches the football. So I really wouldn't start. I wouldn't start Donovan. And he was pretty bad last week. I think, maybe the genie's back in the bottle there, so to speak. ETN's allergic to the end zone, multiple 100-yard games for 10 points. So I feel a big game is coming. Yeah, you know what? DH, I agree. I think he's fatigued. I've said that many times. I don't mean to repeat myself, but for a guy, this is his first NFL season. He did not play at all last year. He was injured, of course, with a foot injury. And, having pretty much maintained his health throughout the course of the season, I think now his legs are starting to go. He's tired. And if he could just stop fumbling, he fumbles all the time, ETN. And honestly, I'm shocked that Doug Peterson has been as patient as he has been with him. But there's no doubt about it. He is an electric back. And what I will say is that the shaky finish to ETN's season after he was downright electric during the middle of the season will allow his fantasy draft price to drop next summer and make him a better potential investment. So I'm definitely buying ETN next season as a second round or a third round pick. Would prefer him in the third round. I think he could get to the third round next season, ETN. But I don't doubt the ability at all. I know a lot of people are going to be shy away from him given the finish that he's having. Don't do that. He is as electric as any running back in football. He's just tired right now. How we doing, boss? What do I do? Ken Walker. I don't think you could play him, George. I think Walker is still hurting. He's not 100%. You want to have all systems go in the fantasy football semifinals. There's no more playing around. You really almost have to ignore the name brand and just go with the best options that can give you the best chance to win this week. That's all you're looking at now. Only backups are Deion Jackson and Marlon Mack. That's pretty rough. It's hard to trust. I don't even think Kenny Walker has even practiced this week. That's the only thing. And if you have to go either Deion Jackson or Marlon Mack, I think you would go Jackson, but that's pretty scary. Like I said, I'm going to go through the injury report. A lot of names, a lot of big names on the injury report. Some things I'm concerned about as well. Would it be safe to start Juwan Johnson or Evan Engram since there's a wind advisory for tonight's game? Blair, yeah, it would be fine. And listen, Juwan Johnson's been pretty freaking good. I mean, he's scoring every week. He's become a very trusted outlet for Andy Dalton. Jarvis Landry is now on IR. That was one of the news items of the day. So he's out of the way in terms of potential targets. And Alvin Kamara has not been doing much out of the backfield. And it's really just Chris Olave. So I think Juwan Johnson is a good bet. Now, what I would say is tonight, Evan Engram would be one of the only players I would start tonight because I think Lawrence is only going to be able to throw short passes, and that's going to jive well with Engram. Zay or Evans? Oh, Evans, easy. I know Evans hasn't been great, but Zay Jones is going to get Sauce Gardner tonight, plus the wind, plus the rain. But let me tell you something. Zay Jones has been fantastic. I mean, the point totals, 3 of the last 4 weeks have been insane. Jags defense versus Jets or Browns defense versus Saints. I would definitely go Jags defense. Zach Wilson in the rain. Yes, please. Would you start Zach Moss, Deion Jackson, Pacheco? I don't want any part of it. I don't want any Indianapolis Colts on my team. Now they're going to go with Nick Foles this week, so Matt Ryan is the scapegoat. It hasn't worked, and that's another lesson. It kind of dawned on me in the car today that for next season, we really need to pay attention to immobile quarterbacks like Matt Ryan and their offensive line. If they have a poor offensive line, in Indianapolis, truth be told, though, they've been a really good offensive line the last couple of years, but they've just gotten completely old overnight. We've seen with Tom Brady, the injuries to the Tampa Bay offensive line. When you have immobile quarterbacks like Matt Ryan, like Brady, and the offensive line, if it becomes leaky, it really brings the passing offense to a standstill, as we've seen pretty much in both cases. Certainly Ryan much more than Brady. I don't know how he played a full game on Thursday night and then doesn't practice all week, so they cut Tony Jones and Dallas is hurt. So you think they have to start Walker? Yeah, I think they have to start him. Maybe they're just trying, George. They're trying to save as many carries as they possibly could, and just keeping them off the practice field. Happy Thursday, Justin. In the event Zay Jones is benched, Marquise Goodwin or Isaiah Hodgins. I don't mind either one. I think Goodwin, he's got the bigger play ability, but Isaiah Hodgins against the Vikings, I think he's going to have a game. Everybody goes off against the Vikings. So I think Hodgins is and I just put that video out. I think Hodgins is a good play. And really, he scored twice in the last 3 weeks, plus a 2-point conversion. Olave is out. Are we playing Kamara? Yeah, you have to. I mean, there's nobody left. And that even bolsters, Juwan Johnson even more. Hey, bro, I lost in the first round of my playoffs this past week. Oh, that sucks. I had Devontae Adams, Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, Justin Herbert, Tyreek Hill. My opponent had bit. Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes, Death Lord. I know that, you have that shallow league there. That's how it goes. I got blown out by the same team that I blew out the week before. So you just can't predict this shit. You just can't. And it's enough to drive you crazy. Titans defense or Jags. I would go with the Jags. Again, it's Zach Wilson. I mean, he's just fucking horrible. Like, he is so bad. Like, and not for nothing. Here's another thing. Garrett Wilson showed up Zach Wilson like 4 or 5 different times last week. Now, I know he's frustrated, but he's a rookie. Like, Garrett Wilson just got to shut up, and just be quiet. If I'm Zach Wilson, I don't throw him another pass if he acts like that again. Yahoo said ankle injury, now back injury too. Yeah, I mean, he's breaking down. He's definitely breaking down. The long NFL season is getting to him too. Also, Fields or Burrow. Went with Burrow and it paid off last week, but semifinals in that Pats. No, you always go with Burrow. Listen, the Bengals are legit. They are as hot as any team. You go Joe Burrow every single week. And Fields is banged up again, so I wouldn't trust him. And I'm a Fields owner. Should I start Malik Willis over Zach Wilson? Ugh, God, that's bad, bro. Oh, man, that's rough. I mean, I guess you have to. That's just awful, Rico. I'm sorry you have that decision hanging over you. I guess you have to. I mean, Malik Willis is a good runner, so I think you got to do that. Should I start Michael Pittman or Christian Kirk? I have Jamar Chase. Again, the weather is scaring me big time. There's just so much rain. I can't go Michael Pittman. I just can't do anybody with Indy. I'm sorry. You're going to have to go Kirk. Jags D over Tampa D. I like Tampa's D this week. I'm going to go Tampa. That's a really good matchup. Third string quarterback, like you said, Trace McSorley. So let's look at the injury report. So we already know Deebo Samuel ruled out again this week. No issues there. George Pickens was sick. He didn't practice, but no injury designation, so he's good to go. Deontay Johnson with the toe. Again, these toe injuries are so tough for quarterback, wide receivers. Any player, really, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, any football player, toe injuries just is really tough for them. Right now, he's being listed as questionable. And again, it feels weird. It's Thursday, but the games are Saturday, so it's really like Friday mentality right now. So Deontay Johnson, who does play through injuries, is questionable with a toe injury. Cardinals QB situation, we bench Hopkins for Latavius Murray or Rachaad White. I don't think so, George. I think you still got to go Hopkins. I don't like either one of those options. Rachaad White, totally. I'm the wrong person to ask about Rachaad White because he helped end my season in one of my leagues last week. All right, Nico Collins ruled out. Brandon Cooks is back. So, I mean, Brandon Cooks, I know Chris Moore, who's got a foot injury. He's questionable. I think Brandon Cooks, maybe you could dust him off in deeper leagues. So 7 players Titan ruled out, 5 more questionable. So Burks is out for the Titans again. That looks to be, it was ugly when it happened, but that concussion is really a big problem for Burks. Let's see. Cowboys. Tyler Lockett is not playing, so Marquise Goodwin is the backup. He's got track speed. I mean, this guy was a near Olympian. He was in the trials for the Olympics when he was in college, talking about Marquise Goodwin. So he's got a lot of speed to burn. It's not the worst play in the world. A.J. Dillon is not on the injury report. He had a concussion scare last week. And for the second season in a row now, A.J. Dillon in December is a thing. So, there was a lot of consternation the first half last week. Aaron Jones was hardly getting any work, but then he wound up putting 20-plus fantasy points on the table. And again, I love Aaron Jones as much as anybody, but A.J. Dillon's playing really well. All right, $4.99 super chat from Jonas Barry. Thank you, Jonas. I really appreciate that. 2 separate leagues. Brady or Minshew, Herbert or Fields. I'm going to go Brady. The matchup is good. Arizona's defense is horrible. Now, I know Minshew has all these weapons, but Dallas' defense has been pretty good. And, it's always we know Minshew's played well in the past, but he's hardly played this season. And I'm a little leery going with guys who are coming off the bench in the fantasy semifinals. So I'm definitely going Brady there. And they have to win this game, the Bucs, and they're going to go all out to win this game to maintain their positioning in the division. Herbert or Fields. I'm going Herbert. Fields is banged up. I know Herbert was a complete bomb last week. He was a season ender, as that one video I did shows, but Fields is banged up. I don't like the matchup against Buffalo for him. And they really have nobody left offensively. Bucs defense versus Cardinals, or Lions versus Panthers. I'm going to go the Bucs. Again, Trace McSorley, third string quarterback, Jonas. He's horrible. He just doesn't, there's just no threat with him under center. So I think Brady, the first question, Herbert the second, and then Bucs defense the third. And Jonas, again, thank you for that super chat. I really appreciate the support. Hollywood Brown added to the injury report with a groin injury. So I'm going against Hollywood Brown in the one league that I'm still alive. So I'm watching this closely. But, Hollywood Brown really is just a borderline start. I mean, he's done absolutely nothing since coming back from the injury. They're down to their third string quarterback now in Arizona. Not a good situation there for fantasy usefulness. We got a $4.99 super chat from Joe Castles. Thank you, Joe. Always very generous to the channel. I really appreciate that. All season, you've been very, very generous. Tough decision. McKinnon, McCaffrey, Pacheco, Deion Jackson, Dobbins, pick 3. Well, you got to go McKinnon. Listen, they're going to keep going back to the well with McKinnon. This is what they wanted CEH to be from the beginning. So you have to go McKinnon. I was totally wrong about not going with him last week. I thought it was going to be a 1-week anomaly with him, but the Chiefs, they really have unlocked something with McKinnon. They're going to go right back to that. You have to play McCaffrey for sure, Joe. And then I would go Dobbins. Dobbins was really good last week. Now, sort of like with Nick Chubb, if he doesn't score and doesn't run for 100 yards, the points may not be that impressive since he doesn't catch the ball much. But he looks really good to me, Dobbins. He's a true game breaker. I think it's a pretty easy decision for me there. McKinnon, McCaffrey, and Dobbins. So, Joe, again, thank you for that super chat. I really appreciate it. Should I start or bench Zonovan Knight? My 2 running backs are Nick Chubb and Stevenson. My 2 flexes are Pollard. No, don't even play Zonovan Knight. Absolutely not. He's like way worse than those other 4 guys. Should I flex ETN or Christian Watson? I would flex ETN. Romeo Doubs coming back was not a good thing for Christian Watson, and we saw that last week. I know Watson had the targets, but only 4 catches. Doubs had 5 catches. So I think Watson is going to take a step back in his production. My other running backs are Mixon. Right? Yeah, no, you definitely flex ETN. Sup, boss, really thinking about pulling the trigger on Isaiah Hodgins. Yeah, listen, again, the matchup is supreme, and he's been good. Like, he really has been good. So, and I'm a Giants fan, so I've watched him every single week. The guy's got some skills, and they love him. They picked him up off the scrap heap. They had him in Buffalo talking about Brian Dable and Joe Shane. It's worth checking out. I made it to the semifinals in one league. What do you think about Gerald Everett over Darren Waller? I'm fine with it. Darren Waller, I know he had the touchdown last week, but he's really, you could even consider him the fourth option right now behind Josh Jacobs, behind Hollins, behind Devontae Adams. And you talk about a league ender. I already did the video on Devontae Adams the last couple of weeks. He's been fucking garbage. I mean, 7 and 10 fantasy points. Horrible. First, thank you for your advice. Oh, you're welcome, Andrew. Thoughts on Tony Pollard against the Eagles? You always play Tony Pollard every single week. He is a phenomenal football player. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If he ever got a lion's share carries for the entire season, he would be right there in the fantasy football MVP rating. Now, he's a smaller back, so there is the question of whether Pollard could physically handle such a workload next season. He's a free agent. I think they're going to franchise him in Dallas. Ezekiel Elliott, after the season, is when they could cut him and not get killed with the salary cap, which I think is going to happen. Although Jerry Jones loves Ezekiel Elliott. And listen, let's all be honest. Ezekiel Elliott's been pretty good. I know the average is not splendid. It has, it's come down since his first couple of years in the league. But he's scoring 1 million touchdowns. He's making good on goal line carries. And it's working, the setup there. It's definitely working what they have set up for the offense, at least on the ground with both of those guys. Hard to sit Mixon, especially against the Pats, but if I do, he'll get another 55-point game. Yeah, listen, I've said this a million times. You take out that 55-point game, Mixon's been pretty bad. He's another guy I'm completely out on next season because of his age. Would you pick two of these four? Knight, Dillon, Deion Jackson, Goodwin. Dillon and Goodwin. I don't like Knight coming in hobbled on a wet turf in the pouring rain. And I don't like that match at all. And I'm done chasing Jackson. I tried that once. It didn't work. And I'm not doing that again. Finally, you kill me when you talk about Zach Wilson. Andrew, he's fucking horrible. Like, he's so bad. He has no pocket presence. He does not. His ball placement is laughable. He's throwing the ball 100 miles an hour on simple rollouts. He has no feel for a touch pass, anything. He's just a complete mess. But it was obvious to me coming out of college, and I panned him in my draft guide book that I put out that year because he played nobody at BYU. Nobody. 1 year of starting experience. That's always a red flag too in college. He comes from privilege. I know, I don't remember who said it. That I think might have been Shannon Sharp that got killed for saying that, but it's true. Johnny Manziel was the same thing. Josh Rosen was the same thing. All three of those guys were rich kids, and just the thinking is that they just don't put in the work because they have all this money as it is, and there's a sort of attitude that comes along with being extremely wealthy, coming from families that are extremely wealthy. And look, it's obvious. Rosen, bust. Manziel, bust. Wilson looks like a huge bust who's more interested in banging moms than putting up touchdown passes and putting the work in and taking accountability. Mike White, you watch Mike White play, the ball is always on target. It's where it should be. The guy is tough as nails. He was trying so hard to play. He went to like 12 different doctors to try to get clearance. He wasn't able to get that clearance. But Mike White is the real deal, folks. All right. Do you view Tony Pollard as running back one? He's absolutely a running back one. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. He's a running back one every day of the week, twice on Sunday. Start one wide receiver, Watson, Cooks, Osborne, Shaheen, or Hodgins. Dropped Olave. Yeah, the Olave thing, been disappointing. I think the quarterback play, if it was Winston, I think Olave would have been a lot better. That's a tough one. I'm not going to go Shaheen. I'm not going to go Osborne. I think the Osborne thing was just a perfect setup, making that big comeback. I really don't like any of these options, to be honest with you. I guess Christian Watson. The Packers still got to throw the ball. Godwin or Scary Terry? Scary Terry. I'm not going to go all the way on Goodwin. Goodwin. I said Godwin. I'm not going to go all the way in on Goodwin when you have Scary Terry, who's very good in his own right. And he made the Pro Bowl. Would you start Daniel Jones, Goff, or Minshew? God, that's a tough one. Let me see here. Let's see. Detroit, So Detroit, they're on the road against Carolina. I don't like Goff on the road usually. He does, I've given you the stats ad nauseum about how he does a complete 180 on the road, and that's a defense that's actually playing really well. I would have to go Minshew, I think, and Minshew can run the football. Daniel Jones. I love Daniel Jones as a player. He's really gutsy. He's got tools, but he's got nobody to throw to. So I would say Minshew. You have started seeing his lack of pocket presence too. Yeah, I mean, listen, he has an arm. There's no doubt about it, Zach Wilson. He's got a tremendous arm, and that's what got him drafted. And he's got underrated speed too. He's an athlete. There's no doubt about it. But he inspires nobody on that offense. They don't feel any inspiration from him. I mean, you see Garrett Wilson throwing his hands up on every other play, and he just doesn't have any touch on the football. Now, what I will say, I'll give him a compliment on this. He bought 8 for his 8 offensive linemen. Zach Wilson, it was on the news today. He bought motorized scooters for every one of his offensive linemen. So you know what? I'll give him credit for that. That was a nice thing to do. How would you feel playing against JJ this week? Playing JJ against JJ every week is scary. I mean, the guy is so good; it's unbelievable. And if I get to the finals in the one league that I'm left, I could be facing JJ. So I'm not looking forward to that. Ravens defense versus Falcons, or Bucks defense versus Cardinals. I would say Bucks. Both are good matchups, so you can't really go wrong. Zach Wilson has a bit of talent too. Same like Manziel, just extremely lazy. Yes, right, lazy for sure. But Mike, he doesn't have any footwork. He has no feel for the game. That's the problem. When you don't, at BYU he played nobody, so he was never challenged. He never had to rely on technicality or proper setup, proper footwork, release point, all that stuff. He didn't need to do that. He could just rely on his talent because he wasn't playing anybody. Will Richie James be a decent start? No, I don't think so. I don't. Hodgins would be the only one I. Godwin or Hodgins. I'd have to say Godwin slightly. Defense, Jags, Titans, Chargers, or Cowboys. Not Cowboys, because that Eagles team is still very good. Titans. Let me just see here. I want to see who the Tennessee Titans. Who are they playing again? I don't have the schedule in front of me. Sometimes I draw a blank here. Tennessee Titans. They are playing the Texans. Yeah, you got to go Tennessee. You got to go Tennessee playing the Texans. That's what I would go with. With Lamar Jackson ruled out, I have to go with Deshaun Watson. Should I go Watson and pick up Goff, Minshew, Kenny Pickett, Brock Purdy? The only one I would consider there is Minshew. But I mean, I think Watson is sitting on a game. I really do. I really think he's going to be fine. And then next season, I'm back in on him. Although it's hard to because he's just such a scumbag. All right, so Keenan Williams is playing tonight, so that's a big boost for the Jets. So we talked about Jarvis Landry, he's on IR, so that's going to funnel even more targets for Juwan Johnson, who I think is having a tremendous season. So Chris Olave, we heard about Chris Olave as well. So really, Juwan Johnson, I think, could catch 10 passes this week and certainly score a touchdown. All right, a lot of chat going now. Who's a better option between Zach Moss, Deion Jackson, or Devonta Foreman? Foreman, definitely. I don't want anybody on Indianapolis. Herbert, Knight, or Warren for running back. All running back twos. I guess on workload alone, it's Knight. The other two guys may not get a lot of work. And you want to just your better option is always go with the player that has the better chance to get more touches, and that's Knight. Hopkins or Keenan? Oh, Keenan easy. Keenan easy, Tim. Slayton or Slay? I guess Slayton. Go with Watson, in your opinion, with Lamar ruled out, or pick up one of those? I would go with Watson. I think he's going to be okay. Jeff Wilson possibly will play with his hip injury. He's feeling better. And that's the ironic thing here is that the Dolphins put in Jeff Wilson because they wanted to give Raheem Mostert some time to kind of, find his legs again after getting so much work early on in the year and his injury checkered history. But now Wilson's the one who wound up getting hurt. Juwan or Schultz? Oh, Juwan, definitely. So Schultz helped end my season in the other league. I mean, God, he only had like 3 fantasy points. It was pathetic. 2 catches. And the big mistake I made in that league that I lost is I had 3 Dallas Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard, Dalton Schultz. Don't ever do that. It just, that was a big mistake on my part. I didn't plan on that happening. I was trying to flip one of them, and I was never able to do it. So when you have 3 guys on one offense, all 3 are not going to go off in one game. So you're handicapping yourself at least one of those spots. And that game was so frustrating, that last Dallas game. 2 touchdown passes to Noah Brown, 1 touchdown pass to Peyton Hendershot. When you have CeeDee Lamb, you have Dalton Schultz, you have Tony Pollard. It was very frustrating that none of those guys scored. Is Sauce going to lock up Zay Jones? Yes, he's locked up everybody. He's a Pro Bowl rookie. He's an absolute stud, best player in that draft by a mile, lockdown corner. He might already be the best cornerback in the NFL. Zay Jones is in trouble tonight. Forgot to mention Tyler Huntley is also on waivers. Pick up Huntley. No, Huntley is banged up. You definitely go with Watson. I meant Slayton or Zay. Yeah. I figured that's what you meant. I couldn't figure what you were saying, but I'm still going Slayton because Zay Jones against Sauce not happening. Travis Etienne a good play tonight. You think if not, throw to Hopkins in the fight? No, I would go Etienne. I've been an Etienne apologist all season, no doubt about it. I'll take the hit on his recent poor play. They have to run the football. They have to. There's no doubt about it. They have to run the football, and I think they're going to set up some screens for him. Who you got winning tonight? Jaguars. I don't think the Jets aren't going to the playoffs, especially with Zach Wilson. Who to start, Schultz or Chigoziem? I'd say Chigoziem. I'm very down on Schultz right now. So Lamar Jackson, this knee injury was more serious than anybody could have foresaw at the beginning. Really disappointing season for Jackson. Here's the thing, too. You saw that he put up 40 fantasy points back-to-back weeks. I'm a double Jackson owner. I'm like, oh, my God, I got the MVP. And then once September ended, it all went to shit. Like, he's done nothing since. It's been 12, 14, 17 fantasy points. That's it. It's been that bad. And I know, listen, Rashad Bateman's been out, but how does the offense fall apart without Rashad Bateman? I mean, Mark Andrews, he's been banged up, but he's been back for over a month. It's just been awful. Lamar Jackson, just such a bust. He definitely cost himself some money. And honestly, Lamar Jackson is a good fantasy player. He's not a good quarterback. He's an offensive weapon. I don't even think you can't classify him as a quarterback. My opponent has Etienne and Aaron Jones. I have Nick Chubb and Stevenson. You have the better options there, Chubb and Stevenson. I love Stevenson. You all know how I feel about Stevenson. Etienne's due for positive TD regression. I think Etienne is due for positive regression. Cortland Sutton limited. You're not playing him. Njoku or Chigoziem. I'm going Njoku. Do you think Evan Ingram will have a bounce back? I think he'll be okay. Again, it's hard, Trevor, with the wind. I can't say he's going to have a big game, but I think he'll be the primary target since the short pass game is the only thing that's going to work. Pittman or Kirk? Oh, man. I got to go Kirk, even though, again, I keep going with Jaguars every time. I'm not playing Zay Jones. I did say Kirk and Ingram I would play. Thoughts on Mike Williams? Love Mike Williams. Absolutely love him. Some of the catches he's made this season have been absolutely ridiculous. I love Mike Williams. I know he's inconsistent, but the numbers are there at the end of the season. All right, Titans practice. We talked about the Titans. The thing too with Russell Wilson, he wanted out of Seattle because he wanted to be Pat Mahomes, right? Well, he's not Pat Mahomes, first of all. And we have seen now with Denver how bad things have been, that he is not capable of being a pocket passer. The only way the Wilson works, and the Pro Bowl Wilson of his Seattle days, is having a strong running game so the defense sells out to stop the run and Wilson can get out of the pocket and throw on the run. That's what made him such a ferocious weapon, perennial Pro Bowler, MVP. That's what made Russell Wilson the star that he was. Now that he's lost a step, he can't really get out of the pocket like he used to. So he's a sitting duck. He can't see over the lineman. His accuracy is really suffering. It's all gone to crap. And now he's signed for 4 more years. So it's as bad. There might not be a worse setup in the NFL right now than the Denver Broncos. The Rams are close too because they have no draft picks. Those are the 2 worst setups right now, in my opinion. I'm benching Zay for Devonta. Yeah, I would do that. And listen, if Zay catches a touchdown in pouring rain and hurricane force winds, so be it. You can't go with him in that kind of weather. And with Sauce Gardner against him. My opponent has CeeDee Lamb and Drake London. He had Cooper Kupp, but he's on IR. And I have Chase, Kirk, who has a better receivers. You do, because Chase I like better than Lamb. And CeeDee Lamb is a wide receiver too, guys. He is not a wide receiver 1. We all draft him as a wide receiver 1. He is not that. Jags or Jets defense tonight? Jags. Taysom Hill, Okonkwo, or Fant? Fant is banged up. I'm going to go Taysom Hill. They have nobody else on offense. No Olave, no Jarvis Landry. Alvin Kamara looks like he's shot. I'm going Taysom Hill. He's been double digits each of the last 2 weeks. I love Taysom Hill. And that's the video that put this channel on the map. You think it's okay to start Goddard this week? Yeah, I would. I think he's fine. And especially with Minshew in there. Minshew's always throwing to tight ends. Pickens, Dotson, Cooks, or Davis for flex. I don't like Pickens. Davis. God, Davis has been so shaky too. I would say I would probably have to say Davis. Because I really don't like the other three. Colts are starting Nick Foles. Does that help Michael Pittman? It could. I don't think it makes that much of a difference, honestly. Nick Foles is bad. He's been with like 7 teams in his career. That's all you really need to know about Nick Foles. Could James Cook be a sneaky flex? I don't know. I mean, listen, without that touchdown last week, he was nothing. So, he's had the one big game, but Devin Singletary is still the starter. Benching Etienne at flex. I have Najee, floor player, Mike Williams, upside. Yeah, I guess it's fine. I like Najee and Mike Williams better than Etienne. And Najee Harris has been scoring touchdowns every week now for like the last month. Start Kirk or still go Pittman? I would still go Kirk. I think with Zay Jones being locked up, I think Kirk in the slot, he's going to be going against Michael Carter. I think he's the guy that you can go with there. But again, like I said, I'm here in New York. The winds are supposed to howl tomorrow. The wind is really bad. The rain is coming down in buckets. So, it's not going to be good. So, but anyway, as far as tomorrow, like I said, I will have a football Friday. I'm not sure exactly what time. I'm thinking maybe 5:00. I'm not doing the fantasy cast tonight. And I'm sorry, by the way, the videos in the morning, I posted 2 of them within the last hour. Christmas week, a lot of things going on both at work, at my school that I work at. So it's been a crazy week. So the videos are still coming. Sometimes I might have to lump them together because I don't have a chance to get on and upload them. Njoku in bad weather or Freiermuth got 0 targets. I'm going Njoku. I don't want anybody in the Steeler offense. I don't want anybody other than Najee Harris, maybe. I don't want anybody in the offense. It's you just try to avoid those situations. I drafted Pittman in 3rd. What a disappointment. Yes, I did that too. In the team that's been eliminated, I drafted Pittman in the 3rd. Now, I traded him when Matt Ryan was first benched. I traded him right away, and it worked out because I wound up getting Amari Cooper and Miles Sanders in a deal. I think I traded him Pittman, and I don't even remember who else it was. So I definitely won that deal. I dumped Pittman before the news really got out that Matt Ryan had gotten benched. But yeah, listen, started out great, had a 20-plus game and a touchdown week 1, and then it all just went downhill from there. He's had flashes since, some decent games since, but overall, very, very big disappointment. And I thought, in that league that got eliminated, my first 3 picks were Justin Jefferson in the 1st round, 4th overall, great pick. I went Leonard Fournette in round 2, bust. I went Michael Pittman round 3, bust. So 2 of my first 3 picks were busts, and I did a lot of trading to get myself back into it. I ended up with CeeDee Lamb. I ended up with Tony Pollard, got myself into the playoffs, but then, of course, I got blown out last week. Kittle or Dallas Goedert? This is for a man league. Kittle. Kittle's hot as a pistol. I drafted Pittman. Yeah, we talked about top defense stream this week, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay against Arizona is my top streaming defense this week. I think it's a really good matchup. All right, guys, I think I'm going to end it here. Short stream today, but I'm definitely going to have a longer stream tomorrow for Football Friday, so make sure you tune in for that. As Jonathan Taylor, Death Lord, colossal bust. As big of a bust as you could probably imagine this season. But next year, I still think he's going to be a first-round pick, but I want no part of him. Major workload going back to his years at Wisconsin. I don't want any of Jonathan Taylor next season as well. I think he's going to be like Eddie George, an early decline guy. Kirk, Mike Williams, Watson. If you're asking me to pick, I would go, sit one. I would sit Watson. Will it be a game stream tonight? Blair, not tonight. No, I got a lot of stuff that I'm a little bit behind on for the holiday, so I have to get going. I host on Christmas Eve, so you know what that means. I got to, and I have my hat. I am Italian, and anybody who's Italian knows how big Christmas Eve is. So I got to get start getting prepared for that one. But certainly, I will definitely. And remember, I had said this for sure. championship week, all day stream. So make sure you tune in for all day stream championship week. Brady, Rodgers, or Minshew. I would go Brady. Kirk over Pittman. Yes, Kirk over Pittman. Yes, Merry Christmas, George. But I will have a live stream tomorrow, George. So make sure you tune in for that one. Would you start Wilson over Kirk or Watson? Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too, Jaquan. Would you start Wilson over Kirk or Watson? No, I'm not starting Garrett Wilson with Zach Wilson in the pouring rain. I would start Kirk, definitely. All right, guys, so I'm going to end it here. Thank you for tuning in. Look for the videos tomorrow morning and, of course, the stream later on tomorrow afternoon. Have a good night, everybody, and happy holidays if I don't see you tomorrow.